Dance is the embodiment of my thoughts and how they make contact with the literal world. As one of my idols, Martha Graham, conveyed, dance is the hidden language of the soul of the body. It is how my inexpressible feelings and personal history take root and find a voice that can be shared. I focus on a compositional use of organic unity, rhythmic articulation, and thematic description of my emotional responses to real-life events, and I create my material based on contemporary dance composition theory by employing improvisation for the purpose of developing innovative movement ideas, accessing the deepest level of my subconscious feelings. All the videos that you're watching are improvisation from a period of 3 months I spent working in a salmon cannery, an isolated compound in the Aleutian Island chain of Alaska. There was no connection to the internet, no cell phone service, no department stores, highways, no restaurants. The people who grew up there had never heard live music, been to the movies, seen a play, or seen dance. I promised that 5-year-old girl I would teach her one day, and I still teach for her. In the cannery itself, there were 8 of us Caucasian women and 300 men, so you can postulate what would ensue without a police presence or government, because without enforcement, words written in the U.S. Code of Law failed to protect us. But to talk about these ugly horrors is not my intent. What I intend to demonstrate to the committee is how dance is a method of empowerment through the way that I utilize dance in my own life to work through post-traumatic stress disorder, would sneak into that gym and express my reactions to discrimination against women in this gender-biased and structurally violent system without having to define them within the bounds of my linguistic capabilities. Within the realm of dance, I could explore and analyze the things that I could not conceptualize or comprehend. This last clip is my musing about how my mother would react that I couldn't come back from Alaska. I was saying goodbye, but I would still look down upon her. The short knife of a short life showed the injustice that my life had been impacted and stolen from me in this way, and how this was my last breath of life. I incorporated many of those stylistic elements that you've seen that I had created during the summer in my development of this dance, named Thin Line, choreographed to Macklemore's song of the same title. I found the cadence and the sorrow of the line helped create an ambience of limited hope and sustained repetition. The lyrics "on and on" signified that I was not truly living anymore. I was just a zombie on autopilot, robotically living without a past, a present, or a future, simply surviving day by day. The next lyrics, "Can't Get Her Out of My Head," signify the memories I had of the girl that had died of the cannery from sexual violence. "This Place Is a Mess" talks about having witnessed to a society completely void of any semblance of morality or ethical code, and also to myself. "Holding On to Cobwebs" was a depiction of this empty shell that I was, in that the only thing that I had left of me was cobwebs, something else filling this emptiness, but it wasn't me. And "She Walks That Thin Line" was the fact that I was traversing between life and death as I went in and out of the hospital, and I had to decide whether or not to stay in this life of pure survival or to leave. And the arm movements at the end, pushing up on the face and looking away, and then reaching, signify me reaching out to myself, trying to reclaim myself and get a grip of my life again, but instead I just kept disappointing myself and falling 10 steps backwards. The ensuing choreography focuses more on my anger and confusion and confliction than survival. I choreographed this piece. I am in the front row at the beginning with the blonde hair, and I am second in from your left. It demonstrates that although I had escaped physically from the system of daily abuse, I was still trapped mentally in Alaska because I lacked the ability to communicate to anyone what I had endured. I could never show them the place where I had lived, and I thought that they would never understand what I had gone through. I thought I was alone. The lyricism is important, especially in this part of the piece, because it dictates my intense feelings of isolation, not only physically but mentally. That I was not only in a different place, but a different world, a different age than everyone else, and everything was foreign to me and I didn't understand it. And I was trying to run, kick, scream, whatever way I could to get out of it. But the only thing that was controlling my life at this point was fear. Fear drove me. Fear was all I had left, all I had to hold on to. I was afraid of myself. The chords are a central part of the piece, and they become increasingly irritating and challenging to dance with. They force the dancers to struggle with themselves. Also, as I had lost so much of my physical self, I was exploring that my quintessential nature had not been diminished. My soul was still intact. Thus, I must exist existentially of my corporal body, and I could abandon this body to which so many crimes had been committed. Through my mind, I could venture endlessly, claim as little or as much as the space as I wanted to. All I had to do was imagine, and I could be there. This is a direct reference to the fact that my door had been broken down and the company failed to fix it, allowing many injustices to occur. This maze is a maze of bodies that I tried to escape from, and the gaps were fleeting and far between. Dance was healing because in this version of my life, I got to the doorway. Here, I, the narrator, step out of the frame and say there's no one in sight here, I must be safe. This final ending of the dance is the climax of the piece, and it shows how I was reaching out for help, at the same time pushing everyone around me away and running as fast as I could away from help as soon as it arrived. This is the hopeful, urgent climax of the entire piece, the leap signifying this moment of flight, of pure joy, freedom, finally, with the juxtaposition of the dancers in the background, climbing up and out of this structure, which is a cage by my design, and being held up by their support network instead of other people holding them down. It is an integrated collection of bodies that improve upon the human condition and make something stronger than we are alone. Albeit that I was hopeful, the only thing I had hope for was seeing Spain. That something in that golden landscape could heal me. Months later, I would test my duende in front of the Alhambra and know that I owed my life to this landscape and to these people, that I had been healed through more than just fancy footwork. In February, I had decided to explore the art of flamenco. I arrived that first day of class in street shoes, nervously shifting my weight and wondering what the instructor was saying. She was so confident in her mannerisms, chest erect, chin up, yelling, "Look at yourself in the mirror. This is a song about enduring the discrimination, about you asserting yourself, finding your strength, that as much as they had tried to suppress me, they could never stop me from dancing." Just like I, with my improvisation coming from an emotionally charged place and dancing without concentration or intentionality, duende is a point in the flamenco where the dancer no longer has to think. When you learn to dance, you must also learn how to forget it. In flamenco, you must rely on the wisdom that flows in your blood, something that's inherited from age-old tradition and life experience. Flamenco resonated well for me. It was consistently part of the uprising of counterculture. The Moors were forced out to convert to Christianity, and failure to do so resulted in expulsion from Spain. The Jews suffered too, and the Gypsies were subjected to some of the worst atrocities, an attempt to exterminate them. I was also discriminated against and abused based upon my gender. There was no one there to end the persecution, and we lacked the power to stop it ourselves. In Spain, they were to stop wearing their style of dress, cease speaking in Romany language, and to stop their wanderings and seek steady employment. I wore a smock, spoke to no one, and was forced to work 16 hours a day with one day off during the month. These laws and restrictions resulted in bands of gypsies, Moors, and Jews taking refuge in treacherous mountainous areas, too desolate for authorities to pursue them. I hid in that abandoned gymnasium, escaping from society that I was ostracized from, and danced as a way to cope. Dance is this physical, emotional art that empowers while it creates beauty. It encapsulates my soul. Through it, I can stomp out these paradigms, stereotypes, and subjugation. Through my class, I found support for others counteracting discrimination. I occupied every molecule of my being again, filled with this ancient energy, empowered by those around me, but mostly myself. I was Lauren Ashley Vermillion, and I would never stop dancing.